Many journalists in Nigeria and, of course, around the world face violence and intimidation for exercising their fundamental right to freedom of expression from January to date. For instance, several journalists have been kidnapped. Notable among them are the Blueprint newspaper journalists who were abducted alongside their family members in Kaduna from their homes. It took the combined efforts of security agencies to rescue them. Physical attacks, detention, equipment confiscation, or denial of access to reporting scenes are ugly scenarios journalists faced while carrying out their jobs. As an essential precondition to guarantee freedom of expression and access to information for all citizens, the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is commemorated worldwide every 2nd of November. In line with this, our focus for Saturday discussed tonight is securing the safety of Nigerian journalists, and our guest in the studio is a seasoned journalist and a lawyer. We will meet him shortly after the news segment. Please stay tuned. I am Abdullah Hajia, your uncle. Thank you for joining us again. Now, let's begin from the Sultanate Council, where the Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, has declared Sunday, 3rd November 2024, as the first day of Jumada Ula 1446 after Hijrah. This is contained in a statement signed by the Secretary Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, Sultanate Council, Sokoto, Yahya Muhammad Bui. It says the Sultanate Council Advisory Committee on Religious Affairs, in conjunction with the National Moon Sighting Committee, did not receive any report from various moon sighting committees across the country confirming the sighting of the crescent of Jumada Ula 1446 AH on Friday, 1st November 2024, equivalent to 29th Rabiul Thani 1446 after Hijrah. He maintains that Saturday, 2nd November 2024 is 30th Rabiul Thani 1446 AH. The Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, has accepted the report and accordingly declared Sunday, 3rd November 2024 as the first day of Jumada Ula 1446 after Hijrah. Away from that, Nigeria should take the path of neutrality in the geopolitical competition for the soul of Africa between the West and Russia. Gideonfo Adibe, a professor of political science and international relations, gave the advice during the 46th inaugural lecture series of Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Nguse Preve has details.
The audience in this hall was enthralled by erudition by Gideonfo Adibe, the 46th inaugural lecturer of Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Affirming his chair as a professor of political science and international relations, Adibe posits that Russia's newfound love for Nigeria, nay Africa, should be handled with caution, as it offers both threats and opportunities.
Opportunities offers us the competition between the two powers, what we call the Truman Doctrine. We should not try to make it a double dependency, depend on this country and depend on the other country, but to creatively be able to know how we can maximize what comes to us from the competition between the two powers.
Vice Chancellor Nasarawa State University, Kefi, Professor Sadatu Hassan Liman, in a message encourages more research outputs from the academics so that government and relevant agencies will implement the recommendations for a better society.
And the tradition is going to be encouraged by our Vice Chancellor. Any professor that is willing, even next week, the management is willing to sponsor it.
I didn't expect anything less. It was such a robust one. And those who know him enough know that they wouldn't have expected anything less.
This lecture has opened a new horizon in international relations.
The topic of the lecture is What does Russia really want from Africa? From Kefi Nguse PV NTA News.
A socio-political platform comprising young persons from the North Central Geopolitical Zone has been inaugurated as the North Central Youth Council. These young persons were inaugurated in Abuja to serve in different capacities as coordinators of the council. Deborah Gazajimaika has details of the program.
That was the inauguration ceremony of pioneer leaders and coordinators of the North Central Youth Council. The North Central Youth Council is an arm of the National Youth Council. The North Central region, first in history, just inaugurated its pioneer executives and state coordinators as well as advisors in the FCT. This was after conducting a peaceful election months ago. The new leaders will serve for 2 years and are tasked to champion dialogue to ensure peace in the North Central region, which is challenged with insecurity, working together as a formidable force for progress and development.
Like every of us other states in Nigeria, ST deserves to be a substantive state as well. So we are asking them to look into this, and as well, we are hoping that the president will, in no distant time, consent to the bill requesting for the North Central Development Commission. That will enhance development within the North Central region. It will enhance development within the states of the North Central zone, and it will ensure that the youth, the voice of the youth are heard, and the youth are meaningfully used in the North Central.
The Board of Trustees presented certificates of returns to the new set of leaders. The determination to build the nation's youth is crucial to national stability, and so youth are further advised to prioritize building a vibrant nation devoid of social vices.
We have a lot of hope in our country, Nigeria, precisely in the North Central. Looking at the North Central youth, we are adamant and very strong youth, and we are a agrarian state where these youth are always very active in their works. And we believe with the present government that they will certainly come to our aid and things will avert to the previous way we used to do.
We are here to promote peace. We are here to make sure that our region is free from crime, insecurity, hunger. We are here to make sure that the youth belong and being carried along.
High point of the event was an interactive session geared towards promoting unity in diversity in Abuja. Deborah Gazajimaika, NTA News.
Now, following the assassination of two French journalists on 2nd November 2013 in Mali, the United Nations proclaimed this day as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. Yours sincerely examines what the day entails. A UNESCO Observatory of Killed Journalist Statistics puts it that between 2006 and 2024, more than 1,700 journalists have been killed around the world, with close to 9 out of 10 cases of these killings remaining judicially unresolved. Impunity for lethal and non-lethal attacks against journalists perpetuates a cycle of violence, which is a key indicator in ensuring public access to information and the protection of fundamental freedoms. The International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is used to highlight the risk that journalists take to do their job, call for accountability for crimes committed against them, and reaffirm commitment to the protection and safety of journalists in the course of doing their job. Crisis and war-torn areas often jeopardize the safety of journalists. This is in addition to other forms of attacks that exist during politically tense atmosphere and religious crises.
Freedom of Expression Bill was passed by the 8th National Assembly. It promotes a lot of things, and there were so many awareness that without freedom of expression, democracy cannot work. Because these institutions are very, very happy, are very, very good for a democracy and also very good for the Nigerian masses.
It makes a demand of government to ensure that there is a conducive environment for journalists and communication practitioners to ply their trade without hindrance.
Let's recommit to fighting for the right of journalists to press freedom, the right for them to report without censorship. The public deserves to be well informed.
The awareness creation on this day also extends to governments, civil society, the media, and everyone concerned to uphold the rule of law and to join in the global effort to raise awareness on the need to end impunity for crimes against journalists.
Journalism is actually in demand to ensure that every society is properly run.
While a lot of local and international laws seem to protect the journalists from attacks, keen observers say more needs to be done in order to guarantee the right to information and freedom of expression, which in turn supports the survival of democracy and good governance. In Abuja, Abdullah Hajia, NTA News. Well, these are some of the issues raised in that report, but now I'm being joined by professional journalist and also a lawyer, Femi Okewo. He's also a member of the governing council of the National Human Rights Commission. And who else to invite to talk on this topic, if not him? You're welcome to Saturday Discourse, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, well, I think you're just one person that I think should talk on this topic. Having practiced as a journalist, a lawyer, and someone who understands the law and also practicing journalism. So let's look at a day like this. In this 21st century, we're still talking about attacks on journalists. What should be the issue? How should we approach ending impunity for crimes against journalists?
Any society should protect the journalism profession. I think any society, whether a democracy or not, should allow people to be able to assess government performance, should be able to allow a group of people who are now professional journalists to be able to say what is wrong with society. So any society that clamps down on journalism as a profession or journalists as professionals is in danger of killing that society, because you really need people who would speak up about the situation in the society. And so it is very good that the United Nations deemed it fit, because of a particular incident in Mali, to set aside a day to remember that there shouldn't be impunity against journalists generally. And if you see the circumstance under which those two French journalists were killed, it is as if the Malian militants did not want some things said about the misbehavior that was going on. So they wanted to kill information. They wanted to kill the idea of letting people know that there were bad things that were being done in Mali at that time. So this day being celebrated across the world sets the stage for us to say, look, don't clamp down on journalism. Allow people to point out the evils of any society.
Okay, well, you and I know that there are, various laws, local and international laws, protecting, journalists or journalism to practice, like you said, to access information from any parts of the world. But we often see cases of these attacks. How can we strengthen these laws to enforce, what we're talking about?
I am not one of those people that think that journalists can do no wrong. Okay. I don't belong to that school of thought. I am not one of those people that think that journalism has a kind of immunity against misdemeanor.
Okay.
I think that journalism should be regulated along line the professional ethics of the job. The danger of not doing that in the line of the ethics of the profession is what we see government try to do. Now, once government tries to regulate journalism, of course, you know that government would regulate it to its own advantage. And they will clamp down on any information that seems to say government is not doing right. So I think that a day like this being celebrated also calls for us professionals to say that the journalism profession should rise up, particularly in Nigeria, and regulate itself properly, professionally, so that outsiders don't see any need to clamp down on us. You talked about the kidnappings and all that. I do not really think that is part of the impunity of the society generally. There is a high level of impunity in our society. You just need to drive on our streets to see how people behave anyhow, how people do anything they like, and the law does not call them to order. I do not then, therefore, think that journalists can be taken out of the general situations in the society. If people are doing anything anyhow, somebody would think that it is his right to lock up a journalist who wants to report an issue, lock him up in his house, beat him up, and release him at the time he wants, and nothing happens because the law is not strengthened. That's the question you are asking. There are enough laws to stop either individuals or government from clamping down on journalism or journalists. There are enough laws in Nigeria. Exercising those laws is our problem. Making them work is our problem. Calling the police to order, for instance, telling the police you cannot pick up a journalist just anyhow. There is the law of libel, there is the law of defamation. You can arrest a journalist based on that, and it is, of course, you take him to court. The court is the one to adjudicate on things like that. It is not for any policeman or any military man or any government official to lock up a journalist and release him at his own whims and caprices.
Okay, let's bring it back home a little bit let's not talk as if we're just imagining.
Yes.
As someone who has practiced in this climb, yes, what's your assessment generally on how journalists are treated, sir?
Let's be fair. I think the Nigerian journalist is comparatively freer to do his job. My opinion is that indeed we are the ones that censor ourselves. We are the ones that throw ourselves into what the politicians want or what they do not want. I think that relatively the Nigerian journalist has the right and can stand up to the misbehavior of any part of government if he desires to so do. Ownership is one major part that limits the Nigerian journalists. Of course, if the owner, the owner of the outfit thinks that you shouldn't be using a particular story, who are you? You didn't employ yourself. Somebody employed you. If your employer thinks that a story should not go, you can't force it. So ownership is one limitation, big limitation of the Nigerian journalist. But there have been times, I have been in court, where a journalist here in Abuja was told by a court to divulge his source of information. And I was proud that day for that journalist who looked at the judge in the face and said, you don't have a right to tell me to divulge the source of my information. Yes. I was a proud person that day. So there are individuals who can do the job. There are many. You can see reports coming out who can individually do the job. But do they have the platform? Do they have the ownership? Can they own an outfit? Of course, like I have said earlier, journalists too can misbehave. But then there should be regulations within the profession, not outside the profession, not by the police, not by the military, not by government, to regulate what the journalists do.
All right, thank you, sir. As we round up, another issue I think that can also give the journalists the strength and also the teeth to bite, like we always say, is the issue of insurance, which I think is not muchly promoted in this part of the world. If you can
Yes.
quickly respond to that before we go.
Those are the kind of factors I said that should be strengthened within the profession. It's not just about, these are the things that encourage journalists to be able to do their job with courage, without looking back, without looking at the effect. When you're writing a story, when you're doing an investigative report, and you are looking at the repercussions, you are looking at what happens to you if you are killed, if you are injured, if you are maimed, then the courage to do the job is not there. But if you are insured, I don't know, NUJ tried to start off an insurance policy at one time. I don't know how far it has gone. These are the kind of things that we can have in place that can encourage journalists to do their job without fear or favor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Okewo, a lawyer, a journalist, former head of judiciary desk of the NTA. I know you have so much to tell us, but at this time, the one time will permit us to, take from you. Thank you for coming on Saturday Discuss.
It's a pleasure.
All right, it is still Saturday Discuss. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, the program continues.
Relive your delightful moments via a telecast. Tell the world what gave you your happiness or pains, and for the how, where, and why. Share your joys of coronation, chieftaincy orders, engagement parties, traditional wedding ceremonies, weddings fatiha, nikah, naming ceremony church programs, housewarming, inaugurations, award nights, school and social events, or moments of grief like burial ceremonies with many others. Don't let your events pass and your story not be told on Memories every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on this station. Memories, making your events memorable.
Glad to know you're still there. Let's now join Serafina Rokono-Mekwe, who covered a fire incident earlier today. What she has for us.
This is Ghana Street. What led to this inferno this Saturday afternoon is that this telecommunications company their power plant runs 24/7, I am told. And so because of that, it does not go off. And so the truck came in with a diesel while the generator was, the power plant or the generator was still on, and then they started dropping or pouring in diesel, and that was how it ignited. And then few shops were affected. One of those affected is they call it the downtown eatery at Ghana Street here in FCT.
We just have to be very cautious at this point in time. We have to be very careful. We have to maintain safety measures. And of course, all buildings, this is a time when, at all times, we must always have a fire extinguisher. We must also observe safety protocols. We want to offload anything, consider diplomatic conditions.
The diesel tanker in the back was supplying diesel and putting diesel in the generator when the generator was on. So the fire actually started from back there. So by the time I got a phone call and I rushed here, the fire had already engulfed this whole area completely. So I want to commend the Abuja Fire Service for their quick response. They're very, very brave.
I was just at a job program when I saw missed calls from my phone. And I just decided that, wow, for you to have like 20 missed calls from my shop, I was calling. And when I called them, I found out that they said the shop had caught fire. I was so surprised. So I rushed down here only to see a massive fire. So many fire pointers all around. And I was so surprised. Many of my neighbors at this complex of 38 Ghana Street have been affected. My shop is just behind. I find, the
Federal Fire Service for their wonderful job to contain the fire so that, other shops, other buildings, banks were not affected. My shop was not affected, and I thank God for it. So we just want to congratulate the fire service for their prompt response and to thank God that nobody's lives were lost.
The disabled have for long been among vulnerable sets of people in the country, and getting the needed support to enable them live life properly is being canvassed by all well-meaning Nigerians. Speaking to NTA Channel 5, founder ASA Enable Us Foundation, Ayorinde Stephen Amoko, has identified data collection and entry to be one way to identify and bring the needed help that will directly impact the disabled. Wayne Dogo tells us more.
The numerous challenges faced by people living with disabilities necessitates effective implementation of policies and programs to ensure their easy access to a normal life. In a bid to find solutions to these challenges, an NGO, ASA Enable Us Foundation, has worked tirelessly for over 6 years, providing advocacy, rehabilitation services, and community-based programs to people with disabilities across Nigeria, including the FCT, to promote inclusivity, eliminate discrimination, and offer comprehensive support.
When I speak to most of them, I can see how laid back they are. They are not bringing into society the way they are meant to be. A lot of them have met a master's degree as a disabled person, but they never recognize them. They never get a job. So I'm advocating for them. We need to start bringing them to them. I'm a psychiatric nurse. I'm a psychotherapy. So I know what it takes. A lot of NGOs go around taking pictures with the children and they never get back to them. I've been running for over 6 years and I keep going back to them.
As a result of over 6 decades of empowerment initiatives in different states, the founder, Ayorinde Stephen Amoko, said that by working closely with the national leader People Living with Disability, APC, the foundation has been able to identify data collection and entry as one of the main challenges that hinder efforts to reach out to disabled people.
We are coming up with a very massive program where we'll be able to know how many disabled people we have in Nigeria, each state, whether the kind of disability, because when you say disabled, everybody just thinks disabled is people on wheelchair. No, that's mental illness, that's every aspect of that. So we need to capture them. Like when I was giving classes in Benue State, and I asked them how many people need glasses, they don't know because there's no data. So we need to start using data in Nigeria, and that is the only way you can know where the source of the problem and how you can tackle the problem.
The foundation urges collaboration between government and private sector to find lasting solutions to the challenges faced by people living with disabilities. In Abuja, Wayne Dogo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Wayne. And let's tell you that Manchester City and Arsenal taste defeat while Liverpool go top of the table after their victory against Brighton and Hove Albion. Many thanks for watching Saturday Discuss. Thank you for your time. Let's do it again, same time, same station next week. I am Abdullah Hajia. Good evening.